What's up, everybody? I'm Tommy B from Limestone Scale RC, and today we're going to be doing a product installation and review video for Locked Up RC's the Next Team Driver 7. Alright, what we have here is Locked Up RC's FI spools for the TRX4 and the OT shafts for the rear axles. Now, for those who don't know, what these are a direct replacement for the factory parts. They're a major upgrade. These spools are a lot heavier duty than the factory spools and the TRX4 Sport axles. And throughout this video, I'm going to show you why. We're going to start with the rear axle. And we're going to disassemble the outer portal box covers. You got two screws on either side. They're a M2.5. You use a 2mm. Let's remove these screws. Remove. And do the same with the other side. Since I'm doing a complete rebuild of these axles, I went ahead and replaced the bearings as well. Now, if you're doing a fresh build from the ground up, you could use factory bearings, use whatever bearings you choose. I'm using Locked Up RC's bearings because they are the name that I trust. These are already pre-installed, so we will set those aside. Now that we have the portal box covers off, you remove the OT shafts, set those aside. We're not going to use those because we will use Locked Up RC's upgrades. And the reason the upgrades are so awesome is because you look at these, I don't know if you can see, the factory ones have a lot of slop. They move around a lot. Locked Up RC's OT shafts combined with the FI spools will eliminate all of that slop. To pull the differential cover off, along with your ring gear and carrier or spool and your pinion bearing, you have 4 more M2.5 screws from the pinion side of the axle housing. Now, these axles came off of a TRX4 Sport, so I did not have the selectable unlocking locking differential, so there's no cable to remove here. I already had a plug installed. Locked Up RC includes a plug for that spot with every FI spool. But we are not going to use that. We will set that aside since I already have one in there. Remove your differential cover. Or in this case, since we already have the shafts out, I like to flip it over and tap it so that the whole carrier comes out together. Now, for comparison, FI spool. You can see exactly how much beefier this spool is compared to the factory one. It's a lot heavier. It's made of a stronger steel. A lot tighter tolerances. Let's get this ring gear out. I'm going to have to clean it up, so I've got some grease on there. If you were doing this ground up build, fresh out of the package, you wouldn't have to clean it. You just install it, grease it up, and put it together. Now on here, I'm using an underdrive ring gear. So you see that this is actually going to fit on here no problem. It doesn't matter whether you're using a standard ring gear, an overdrive ring gear, or an underdrive ring gear, they will all fit. And they will all work with this FI spool. 2.5mm screws that hold your ring gear to your carrier. When you reinstall them, make sure to put a dab of Loctite on so they don't start backing out on you, as that is a problem you do not want to have while you're going down the trail. You have one of these screws back out on you, and it's going to cause all sorts of problems inside your differential, and that is no fun for anybody. It's a good way to ruin a trail day. Or, God forbid, a competition run. All right, now that we have our ring gear separated, you can get a better look here. The comparison of the two, side by side. Get her all lined up. Get that blue Loctite out and ready. One dab is all you need. There is your ring gear mated to the FI spool. Now we're going to install the bearings. Set that back in to the cradle and the differential cover. And we'll pop out our pinion gear. Remove those bearings as well. Replace with new. Oh, I need to get there we go. Set your pinion back in. Get a little bit of grease on that ring gear. Now, I like to use marine grease, or better yet, motorcycle wheel bearing grease, because it is highly tolerant of the elements. And I apply it with either a toothpick or a cotton swab. And you really only need to put a little bit on. I'm kind of going overkill. Slide that back into place. Spin that pinion, check for play. And you put these 4 screws back in and run them down. Now, the OT shafts will fit very tightly inside the spool. So Locked Up RC recommends that you use their copper anti-seize grease on the ends to help with fitment. And in some cases, it still may be too tight of a fit to get them all in. You might have to shave a little bit off of the shaft end to get it to fit in. And the right way to do it is to pre-fit and make sure that they're going to go together properly before you bolt everything up. We're not going to have a problem here. Because these bad boys are going to go in nice and easy with the locked up RC copper anti-seize grease. Now we actually had to shave these down a little bit because it was too snug of a fit. We want a snug fit, but not too snug of a fit to the point where you can't get them back out again. So we're going to try this again. Little anti-seize. Should slide right into position. There it is. Now you look at this. A lot less slop than stock, if any at all. And the only slop that's there is because I had to shave down a little bit of material. You'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Looks like it is just about completely seated. There is no slop at all, none. All right, then we put our portal boxes back on. Dab anti-seize in there. And the last bit of our axles here is the 4 2.5 millimeter screws that secure the portal boxes to the axle housing. And 2 on each side. You run those in, and your rear axle will be complete. Pinion moves nice and freely, just like we want. No binding, no grinding. We are good to go on the rear axle. Now we move to the front. Front axle, I already have pre-disassembled for the most part. And it's going to be roughly the same process as before. With the rear axle. I like to use a pick to get the old bearings out. And of course, whatever works that you have will work, I guess. Same process as before. Remove the carrier. remove the bearings, clean it up. If yours is a rebuild like mine is, remove the 4 screws holding your ring gear to your factory spool. Now that we have the ring gear mated to the front spool, or the front FI spool, I'm going to check the stock axles for fitment. Stock axle shafts are not going to fit that well. So we're going to have to file these down just a little bit and come back. All right, now we've shaved down a little bit of material off of our stock axles. Check for fitment. No problem. Check for fitment on the other side. No problem. All right. Now, install our bearings. Drop our ring gear and FI spool into place. And we already have new bearings installed for the pinion. Drop our pinion gear into place. Add a little bit of grease to that ring gear. Set your carrier and differential cover into the housing. Insert and tighten the 4 2.5 millimeter screws from the back side to hold that all together. All right, add a little bit of anti-seize to your left axle shaft. Slide that in. You may have to rotate your stub shaft a couple times until it drops into place. Insert knuckle bushing into the C-hub, followed by your M3 screw. So connect the top of your knuckle to the top of the C-hub. Flip it upside down. Insert the bottom bushing into the C-hub, followed by an M3 screw into the bottom of your knuckle. And repeat for the right side. Verify that your ring and pinion, that everything moves nice and freely. Your ring and pinion gear has no binding or grinding. Your portal boxes, stub shafts, the CV axles all rotate nice and free. And you are done with your front axle. Now, once I install these back on the truck, we will come back for a review on how it does on the rocks. And we're back. After running a couple of battery packs through the rig, out on the trails and some rocks, various terrain and different obstacles, my final thoughts are this. The locked up RC FI spools and OT shafts are tough enough to handle the job. I ran it through its paces, I beat on it throughout the day. Not one time did I have a failure. I noticed that there's a lot better positive engagement in the axles, and the whole drivetrain runs a lot smoother. So I would highly recommend it to anybody who's building a new rig from scratch using TRX4 axles, or if you wanted to upgrade and rebuild your current axles that are just gone through the test of time. And that'll wrap it up.
If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Not sure if you want to subscribe yet? Check out one of these videos. Thank you for watching.